Aye, it's bonny. It's very bonny. But is it bonny enough? Hi guys, my name's Gary Chapman. This is GTC Photography. This is my Canon M50 camera, and this is Lochs, the second part of Reservoir Lochs. And tonight we're going to be talking about ISO, what does it stand for and why it is so important. And also we'll have a look at my thought process, the way I think when I'm taking a picture, the rule of third we'll look at. So let's crack on. Right guys, so ISO, what does it stand for? International Standards Organisation. Now that's not what I thought it stood for. I thought it was something to do with images and everything like that, and shutter speed and stuff like that, but it's not. It's International Standards Organisation. So it's something that you need to get used to when you're taking photos. It's one of the 3 pillars of your exposure settings that you can muck about with on your camera, along with aperture and shutter speed. And it is a tricky one. I kind of keep my ISO around 100 to 200 mark, get a crisper picture there. But when it gets later on in the day and the sun's going down, you really need to ramp up that ISO setting to try and get a good picture. And that's if you're wanting to keep your aperture and your shutter speed at the same. You can use the 3 to work together. They can all accompany each other and you can get a different photo that way. But when it gets later on in the day and it starts getting darker and you open that aperture settings up, you start going up those numbers, then your picture quality kind of disappears. So I kind of stay away, unless I'm taking a photo of the moon or something like that, I kind of stay away from nighttime photography. I just don't think I get a good enough quality picture. So that's the basic of the ISO. We'll look a bit more into it, and let's go and see if we can find somewhere to take photos. I'm not going to be taking really much water photos tonight. I want to go a different way than what we did at Backwater Dam, so there'll be a lot more wood and stones, trees and things like that, so we'll see what we can find. But we'll head back to the car just now and we're going to have a drive around and see what's around the other side of the loch. This is handy, it's got nice patterns on the wood. We'll see what kind of picture we can get with it. We could maybe shoot along the trunk of the tree, right in about. It's you just got to muck about with stuff. You just got to try and use your imagination. So when I'm thinking about trying to take a photo, I want something in the foreground. So this is kind of like the thing that would be an ideal foreground picture. But as we turn around to take a photo of this, we've got the sun in our eyes. So I'm going to maybe try and shoot along from the bottom to the top, right in about of the tree, to see if we get a totally different kind of picture altogether, because we've got the winds of the bank in here and we've got the blue sky. I think it might turn out to be a good picture, but we can give it a try. But it's all about thinking. It's all about thinking about something different, thinking out the box, and hopefully get a good picture at the end of it. Stones. It's a free bit of equipment that you can use that nature provides. Takes a good photo, it's got tons of shadows on it. I mean, you could really get a good photo. Apart from my shadow being on it, it's kind of ruining it a bit just now, but if I come around a bit, I can maybe get these stones and the bushes at the back, and it might actually turn out to maybe be a pretty good black and white picture. But is it bonny enough? It's always something to try, so we can give it a go. Stones. So we're struggling to get a wee bit of footage actually near the loch. We're struggling to get to a bit that actually has anything decent to take a photo of, because COVID-19 is still on the go just now. Everything's locked up and restricted, so we're driving around looking for something to take a photo of, and behind that bush there is the loch, but then when you turn around here, you have this view. So I'm going to try and take a photo. I can see a few things that's running through my mind. This dike is one of them. I mean, remember I was on about the rule of third earlier on. That's your foreground, your middle ground and your background, and I'm thinking this might not be, but you've got to give it a try. So we'll get the camera out and we'll get set up. I might get my tripod out for this one, and because the wind's blowing a bit, there's another thing. If we get our shutter, if I put the camera on the tripod and I've got it set and I open the shutter, I've got my remote control with me, I can open the shutter a wee bit more to let more light in. I might get a nice purple streak coming off of these flowers down here, and it might add a nice effect to the picture, and then again giving you a totally different picture than what the ordinary person would maybe just come and stand here and take a picture of the green hills. Aye, it's bonny. It's very bonny. But is it bonny enough? I mean, these purple plants down here, they're pretty. And if I can get them in the dike, in the grass, and then the rolling hills behind that, I think that's a different picture altogether. And I think it might be pretty smart. And even the fence, see the fence at the side there? The fence is all crooked and broken. That adds effect, that adds a bit of drama to your picture. Right, so I've got my camera set. Cracking camera, cracking. ISO 100. I was going to try and get a blurred photo. Aye, I'm kind of mucking this up. Well, not a blurred photo, but the foreground blurred with the bushes moving, but that's not going to really work, so there's too much light. I probably need an ND filter on the top just to dull it down a wee bit so then I could get that effect. So what I'm going to go for is an underexposed picture, and hopefully it brings it up. So you can see I'm at ISO 100 and my F setting is at 13, but I'm going to change that down to about 7, if you can see that fine. And my shutter speed I'm going to change just to take the exposure down a bit. I'm maybe going to hit it about 500ths of a second there. Okay, so we'll crack on with that and we'll take a couple of photos and hopefully get a few good ones. I know I said that it's part 2 of Luntrafen, of Reservoir Lochs, but I just can't get near the loch. I just can't get into any place. The only places I can get to are bird watcher boxes for the twitchers, but they're locked, so you can't get into them, and unless you're really looking at birds to take photos of birds, then it's no any use to me. So I've cut my losses and I've went out into the countryside a bit to see if I could find a good place to take a photo, and I think I have. Is it bonny enough? We'll soon find out. We'll see what like it is in the post-processing. But I'm hoping that you like this video, and I hope the videos are getting better for you, and I really appreciate everybody's support. So aye, cheers, thanks. Remember, subscribe and like and leave a comment as well. Thank you very much. Good night. Thanks for watching, guys, and mind and check out my Instagram page as well, please. Cheers.